So today I'm going to show you how to create a server in Node.js and start up this server, everything programmatically. And this is a strong point in Node.js, how to just create a server out of nothing, just using codes. So let's just do it step by step. Then you see how it works, and I allow you to practice by yourself. And in the next lesson, we now talk about how to create a client and make requests from the client to the server. But for now, let's just create a server, create some web page in this server, and then allow the server to serve this web page to the client or to you, to the browser. So I laid out the procedure here. All the piece of code we are going to use is laid out step by step here in my website. You can find the link to this page in the description box below this video. And I'd like to remind you to subscribe to my channel if you've not subscribed, because this is really very easy lessons I make. I try to break it down so that beginners, if you are just new in programming or you are new in Node.js, you can easily pitch in and start following immediately. So I've broken everything down. So please hit the subscribe button and join me by leaving a comment to let me know how you feel. If you want to support me further, you can just go to this same page, just scroll up, you can see buy me a coffee here, and feel free to buy me a coffee. I will appreciate very much if you do buy me a coffee. So now, I'm not going to spend so much time talking about the architecture of a web server. I expect that you already know by now that how web server works is that a client application like your browser, Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, makes a request in the browser address bar, HTTP, localhost, or wherever, and type enter. That request goes to a server, maybe Google server or Yahoo server, and it sends back data, maybe your mail or whatever, it sends back to you, and you see it there on your web page. So that's how servers work. So this is the architecture. I recommend you spend some time to look at it and understand it. If the server have to send data back that is coming from a database, then it means that this server have to also connect to a database. And to connect to a database, it have to pass through something called a business service layer, or a service layer, or a DAO, data access object. So all this is something staying in between the server and the database. That is what we are just trying to discuss. So there is a 4-layer structure of a client server architecture that Node.js follows. And let's now go to the work. Let's create a server and then browse this server actually in real time and see how this server works. It's really something interesting, and more interesting about it is that it is very, very easy. Now the code is here, but I'm going to type it out one by one. I'm going to create a file called server.js and create another file called client.js, and then we proceed from there. So let's start with creating a file called server.js. So just come here, just say file, new file. So I'm using VS Code, and I'm going to just save as, and give it a name. I'm going to call it server.js. So set it to JavaScript, not this one. All right. So you can see the name now is server.js. I have other files as well. So now this server.js is our server we are going to create. I have a page I've created, a HTML page, a normal HTML page. I want this server to serve this page to you or to the browser. So let's build this server. All right. To build a server, you need the HTTP module, and we need the file system module as well, because we want this server to pick up a file from the file system and serve it to the user, to the user's browser. We also need the URL module to be able to get the URL of the client request, because if you are making a request, you are making a request in a URL in your browser, you are making a URL. So you'll be able to get this URL using the URL module. So we need to import these 3 modules. So I'm going to copy them and paste, because for now they are not critical for now. So they are easy to understand, to import things into your workspace. So now you use the create server function to create a server, right? The create server is a HTTP method that takes a callback, right? So the create server method takes a callback, and you already know that a callback is a function. Now, if I type it out, http dot create server, and you now need to give a callback. A callback is a function that has like this, right? I'm going to just put a semicolon at the end like this. So this create server takes this function. We've not written any body for this function, but we are going to do that right now. So to write the body, I'm going to simply create server takes this function. Now this function needs a parameter. This callback function needs the request and the response. So give it two arguments, request and response. So this is the way the server gets the request from the browser and sends back the response to the server. So this function we are writing now is a function that is going to be called when the server is created. All right, so now I'm going to try to write the body of this function. Okay, the first thing we want to do is to extract the path where this request is coming from, and to do that, I'm going to say, let me just use the same variable names I used in the website. URL path name. You now have to say URL dot path. So we have a path class method in the URL class. URL dot path, and then you specify the request URL. The request URL is gotten from request.url. So request.url. Alright, so this is going to pass the URL, and then let's extract the path name. So let's extract the path name. So I'm extracting the path name coming from the URL of the request onto a variable called the URL path. Let's proceed. The next thing I want to display is to display this information to the console. So console.log, say request from, and I'm going to specify the URL where it is coming from. So I'm going to say path name, the what we already extracted, as you can see. All right, so now we are saying what is going to happen when the request comes into the server, because create server takes a callback, and we are saying what is happening inside this callback. The first thing is to grab the URL of this request, display outside to the console. The next thing we want to do is to read the contents of this file that is coming in, right? So to do that, I'm going to say fs.read file. Now I'm using read file because I want it to happen asynchronously, and read file also takes a callback plus the data, because let's see, the read file method takes the path name of the path name of the file to read. So in this case, it's going to be the file name, the file that was gotten, and we are trying to extract the file name from there. Provided this file is in the same directory with the server, it means that we only need the file name, not the complete directory. All right, so URL paths, URL path name. So we are going to extract only the file name using the substring 1. We have substring 01. So the first item, the second item, because it's out of index of 0. So the second item is the name of the file. I'm going to say dot substring, the first item. All right. So now fs.read file now takes the file path which we have specified. We only take the file name by using substring 1. Now we need to specify a callback function to define what is going to happen when the file is read successfully. All right. So the callback, of course, is a function. All right. So this function will also require an argument, which is the data that was gotten from this file, and also error, and in case an error occurs. So let's pass in these two arguments, error and also data that was read from this file if it's successful, error if the file read operation failed. All right, so now I'm going to put semicolon at this point, and yeah, let's now build the body of this function that is going to execute when the file is read successfully. So remember, this file is being read inside the server being created, right? Good. So we are having a callback inside another callback. But let's not go too far. All right, so let's first handle in case of error a call. So if error occurs, what do we do? I'm going to just display the error, console.log. Let's just display err, the error message, which is what we have as the argument to the function, to the callback function, to the read file method. All right. So else, error did not occur. So instead of using else, because we have only two options, error occurs or error doesn't occur. So error did not occur, and it means I will have response. Okay, so let me explain this because this is important. Let me scroll up a bit. So if the file is read successfully, sorry, let's shift up. Let's see. Okay. So if the file is read successfully, then we are going to write the contents out to the response. Now we have talked about the request. We've handled the request now. Now we are trying to send back a response back to the client. So now we are talking about response. So what we are going to do is to write something to the response. And what are we writing to the response? First, we are going to write the response header. So let's say the response dot write head. That is dot write head. So we are writing a header, and the header in this case, give me a second. I think. Okay, just let me copy this. So sorry. Let me clarify. If an error occurs, we are going to write also a response header to tell the user what happened. So in this case, we are writing 404 as the response, as the header for the response. So in case you thought this is write head, so status code 400, it means error. Okay, 404, or maybe it means resource not found or something. And we specify the content type to be written. So the content type should be content type. The content type should be plain text, which is text plain. So okay, so when error occurs, we display the error message to the console, and we are also trying to write error message to the response. In this case, we first write the header, and yes, this is when error occurs. Okay, so in case error does not occur, else. So else. In this case, we are writing the data now. In the first case, we wrote error message to the console and write a response header of which indicates error. In this case, let's write out the data to the console. So I'm going to say console .log. I'm just going to write the data dot to string. Of course, you need to convert it to string so that it doesn't display, it doesn't write out memory location, which will be like garbage. All right, so we write the data to the output, okay, and we also write a response header. So I'm going to write. Actually, should write either of them first or second. So response dot write head. In this case, 200 means success. 200 success. And again, I'm going to simply copy this content type information and put it there as well. Right, so we have, so I want you to understand how the server flows here. So we are creating a server. The server takes a callback function that has request and response arguments. Now, immediately the server is being created, or the server was created successfully. This callback is going to trigger to get the URL of the request that is coming in, okay? When it gets the URL of the request that is coming in, I'm going to display it to the console, as you can see, using console.log request coming from path name. Now, after displaying this URL to the console, I want to now read the file name, read the file, and this file is in the file system. And also remember, this file is in the same directory with the server, all right? So in that case, we extract the name of the file using the path name by substring 1, which is the file name. And we also have a callback function that is going to execute if this file is read successfully or even error occurs, but if the read action was performed. So what we now have is, if error occurs, if ERR, we have console.log, we display the error to the console, and then write a response header of 404, meaning an error occurs. So someone is okay. So, however, if the reading is successful, or if successful, it means that it's a response header of 200. Okay, and we also write it to the response and also display the data to the console. So take some time to wrap your head around it, and it's going to be clear to you. So the next thing we want to do is to let's see, is to simply end the rest of the operation. So to do that is simply send the response to the client. So response dot end. So this code sends the response to the client. All right. So so this, in this case, this callback for the file read method, callback for the read file complete here. Now the callback for the server ends here, and we are going to put dot listing, because you need to specify the port in the server where it's going to be listening to requests coming. So listing, the listing method, you simply specify the port. In this case, I want to use port 8080. Okay. So after all this, I'm going to simply display on the console that server is running, console.log. Server running at port 8080. Okay, let me just write the full address at local at http localhost port 8080, and yeah, so this is what is going to happen. All right, so what I'm going to do now, our server has been built, it's built fine. So we are going to start this server, and we are going to go to the browser and request for a page that is in the server, and let's see what happens. Just to make it clear, I'm going to use a different port. Let me use just the 8087. Okay, so that we are sure that this is not a server that is already running on the system. So let me just save, and I'm going to say node server.js, and let's see. So you can see it says server running at localhost 8087. So let's go to localhost 8087 to see, to try to browse and see if we get the response. So meanwhile, I want you to also to be looking at the console, because when the file is read, it's going to display something to the output as well. So let me just place this at this point. So we take a look at the console. So let's browse on this HTTP localhost at port 8087. Oh no! Oh, no. This server is not running at port 8087 because this is it's listening at port 8080. So I'm going to simply stop this server, and I'm going to change the port at this point to 8087, and I'm going to save and rerun restart the server again. So let's restart the server. Okay, perfect. It's running at 8087 at this point. So I'm going to come here, localhost 8087. I'm going to say index.html. Let's see. So it says, it gives us an error message. Let's see. So it says path name. Okay, server image, HTTP parser error, headers incomplete. Okay, so let's see. It says header incomplete. What does it mean? Let's see. I think there's some error somewhere. Okay, so we have URL path name. Okay, so I think this path name I have here might be URL path name. Okay, so that's one. I'm going to save it again. Save. I'm going to stop my server, Control C, and I'm going to restart my server again. Okay, it's running again, and I'm going to simply come here and just refresh this page, and you can see it says, you can see here it says request from index.html, and so yeah, request from. So something is not right. So what I'm going to simply do, instead of to spend all this time, let me see. Okay, so I know where the problem is coming from. We actually wrote the header. Okay, that is fine, and I'm writing data.toString. So I want you to take a look at when the read is successful, we write. Okay, I'm going to simply write this. I didn't write this, so I was writing to the console. I shouldn't write to the console at this point. So I want to write it to the response. I need to write it to the response. The response means the HTML page goes back to the user, and that's the response. So let me put it, this is the response. I'm writing the data to the response, not to the console. That is the mistake. So I'm going to shut down my server, Control, I don't want to make any mistake, Control C on my keyboard. But let me first save everything, save all, and then Control C on my keyboard. I'm going to restart this server. Okay, server running at this point. And let's come here. We want the code, the data to be written to the response. So I'm going to refresh this page, and you can see the data is written out to the response. That's a good HTML page, and this is what we want to achieve. Now it was a bit tasking. That is fine. Initially, that's how it is. So the next thing we are going to be talking about, how do we build a client that's actually going to make a request to this server Now we built a server and made a request to the server, but how do we programmatically build a client? So I'm going to stop here. I'd like to thank you for viewing. If you've not subscribed, hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to read ahead or follow the demonstration ahead, just continue on the website. This is in the description box below this video, so you can easily follow it and complete it. If you have challenges, let me know in the comment box below, and we'll see you in the next class.